Hello everyone and a very warm welcome to part 2 in this PSPDF Kit Viewer SharePoint SPFx web part tutorial series. In this tutorial, we'll see how we can add an SPFx Property Control to the PDF Viewer web part. In the previous tutorial, we went ahead and hard-coded the document URL such that the document will be rendered in the PSPDF Kit Viewer. However, this is not something that you will do in real life or in production. You want a way to pass the URL or the document dynamically from within the context of SharePoint. Now, when I say that, understand this. How will you go ahead and pass the file from SharePoint? One of the easiest options to pass the file from SharePoint is to use the property pane. However, using the property pane, we need to find a way to pass the data to this particular file that is on your screen. So the first thing that I'll do is I'll create an interface and I'll export the interface such that it can be accessed through other files. And the file that needs the access to this interface is going to be our webpart.ts file. So I'll create an interface. I'll name it PSPDF-Kit Viewer webpart. And what I'm going to pass? The document URL. And it's going to be a type of string. Now that I have created an interface, the next thing that I want to do is I want to pass this document URL as a prop. So inside the function, we will pass the PSPDF-Kit webpart. I will then create a constant or a variable, and to this variable, I'm going to define the document URL, and I'm also going to set the document URL. And for this particular use case, I'm going to use a hook, and the hook name is react.useState. And to the useState, I'm going to pass in props.document URL. Similarly, in the first tutorial, I wanted my use effect to be just run once, but now I want it to be updated as soon as the document URL has been updated. So I'm going to pass the document URL into the array. I'm also going to add a condition in the use effect. So I'll type in if not document URL, I'll just return back. So I'll open and close a bracket and I'll type in return. The next thing that I want to do is I want to change or dynamically pass in the document. So I'm going to use document URL. Similarly, I'll create another use effect. Understand this, the use effect hook is rendered when app is mounted or when it's being rendered. So again, a use effect hook. To this use effect hook, I'm going to pass in a function. Let's get the structure first. And let me pass in an array such that whenever the document URL is getting updated. So in this use effect, I'm going to set the document URL to props.document URL. I'll go back into my webpart.tsx, that is the main file, and you see that there is an error now. The reason of the error is because the document URL is not here. I'm going to go to Google and try to find a way to pass in the URL. I'm going to use property field file picker. So let me get code editor and the browser side by side, and let's quickly integrate the property field file picker into our SPFx application. So first thing that I want to do is find the node packages, right? I want to install the dependencies. So I will quickly type in or copy in npm I pnp SPFx-property-control. This will install all the dependencies in my project related to the property controls. Next, while this is getting updated, I'm also going to install another dependency, that is PNP/SP. This will help me get all the SP related things or all the SP related dependencies. So I'm going to use the import statement in my code, but before doing that, I'm going to install the dependencies. So my SPFx Property Control has been installed. Now I'm going to use the SP dependencies. Understand, I'm using a specific version that is 2.11.0. At the time of the recording, there was a bug, or there is a bug related to the latest SP libraries. So just to avoid that, I'm using 2.11.0. So let me get back into the main file, that is the webpath.tsx, and pass it the document URL. Understand this, that I do not have a way to pass in document URL, so I'm going to first import the dependencies related to the file picker or the property field file picker. Next, I'm going to add a line in the interface. So export the file picker results. Then I'm going to add some code in the property pane or under the groups in the property get property pane configuration method. Perfect. I see an error out here related to the context, and to resolve this, I can just type in as any. So this looks good. And within the document URL, I'm going to pass in this dot properties dot file picker result dot file absolute URL, and that should be it. So if you see, the interface actually returns the following values. That is file absolute URL, downloaded file content, etc. I also added another dependency, right? That is the SP dependencies. So let's try to add those dependencies as well on initialization. Import bracket, curly bracket, SP from @PNP SP. That's what I need. Perfect. And to the init method, I'll type .den function or an arrow function. And then I need sp dot setup. And to this, I'm going to pass in. And from this, I'm going to get SPFx context, this dot context. Perfect. So next, what I want to do is I want to use the file picker result in another file known as pspdfkit webpath manifest.json. And under the properties, I'm going to pass it the file picker. So let me quickly copy it. So sorry, file picker result. Understand this, the naming convention is important. And this, I'm going to pass in an empty string for now. Perfect. So I see a lot of errors. Don't worry about the errors. You can leave it as well. But however, I'm going to remove all the commented lines from here. Let me also get rid of / others. So let's get back into the component, and I want to add some logic such that if there is no URL, then render some text. But if there is a URL, render the viewer. So I'll create a div with a class name, that's app. And let me just create a logic. So let's say that if the document URL is there, so if the document URL is present, then go ahead and render the viewer. So I'll simply copy paste in these lines up here. Now, if the document URL is not there, then we need to render some text. So let me add some text in here. So I'll open a paragraph tag, or first let me open a div tag, and then within the div tag we will have a paragraph tag. So I have the paragraph tags in here, and here let me type in something like select a document from your library. Let me add spaces, and then let me save my code. Right? I think things look awesome now. We have no errors as well. And let me quickly go to File and Save As or Save All. Now it's time to render a component. So I'll type in gulp serve, and the workbench has launched. I'm going to add my viewer from the local workbench. And you see, my friends, the text is there. I can also use the file picker. I can select a document from the library or from the site, and here, my friends, the document is rendering. Wasn't it easy to integrate a file picker into your component? In the next tutorial, we'll add the Save to SharePoint feature such that the document can be saved directly from the SPFx web path back to the library. I hope this session was informative, and thank you for your time. Bye-bye.